In 1842 Louisiana, silence was more dangerous than a scream. The slaves of Willow Creek Plantation knew this well. They worked, they obeyed, they survived. But that morning, silence broke, not by thunder, not by a whip, but by a question. 1842, Louisiana. The morning air carried the smell of sugarcane and wet soil. The fields were quiet in a way that felt unnatural, as if even the land had learned to hold its breath. On this plantation, silence was survival. Screams came later, sometimes not at all. Jonah worked with his head down, fingers rough and bleeding, when he heard the sound of hooves. One by one, the others lowered their eyes. No one looked up. Looking up could cost you everything. That day, the young master returned. Jonah lifted his gaze for just a second, only a second, and in that moment, the world shifted. The young man stood on the wooden veranda in clean white clothes, posture straight, face calm and untouched by the sun. But to Jonah, he was not a stranger. The eyes, the shape of the nose, the way his brow curved, and the faint scar just above it. Jonah's breath caught. The words escaped him before fear could stop them. "Why does the young master look exactly like my brother?" The question hung in the air. The fields froze, hands stopped moving, no one breathed. The overseer's horse came to a halt, and his face hardened with rage. "What did you say?" the overseer shouted. Jonah knew this could be the last moment of his life. Still, he didn't look away. "Sir, his face, it's the same as my brother Eli." The overseer slammed his cane into the dirt. "I'll cut your tongue out. Say something like that again and you'll be dead before sunset." But Jonah couldn't pull the truth back. Once spoken, it burned. That night, inside the dim cabin lit by a dying candle, an old woman reached for Jonah's hands, his mother. "My son," she whispered, "some truths are meant to stay buried." Tears filled Jonah's eyes. "Do you remember Eli, the day they took him right after he was born?" She didn't answer. Instead, she pulled a worn locket from around her neck. Inside were 2 strands of hair, one dark, one light. "Your brother is alive," she said quietly, "just living under the wrong name, in the wrong place." The next morning, the overseer beat Jonah in front of everyone. Each strike of the whip carried the same question. If that man was my brother, then what does that make us? That evening, Jonah washed his wounds by the river when footsteps approached. He didn't turn. "I saw what happened today," the young master said. "I'm sorry." Jonah kept his eyes on the water. "Sorry doesn't unlock chains, master." There was a pause. Then the young master spoke again, softer. "When I look at you, it feels like I'm looking at myself. I don't know why." Jonah slowly raised his head. In the moonlight, their faces mirrored each other. Same eyes, same lines, only their skin told a different story. Days later, the young master found an old letter hidden in a cabinet. It was written in his mother's hand. It spoke of a child born from a forbidden love, a child taken away to protect a family name, a secret buried among slaves. His hands trembled as he read. That night, he returned to the river. "If I was that child, then my brother," the young master nodded, "was never gone." They stood there in silence for a long time. Blood remembers, even when history tries to forget. The next morning, the overseer saw them standing together. Rage twisted his face as he reached for his gun. "You've gone too far," the young master shouted. The overseer lunged, but his foot slipped into the very snare he had set for runaways. The rope tightened around his neck. The tool of terror became his own judgment. No one cheered, no one spoke. There was only silence. Weeks later, the plantation stood empty. People walked away carrying what little they owned. Chains lay abandoned in the dirt. Some say the young master and Jonah left together. No one knows where they went. All that remains is the story of the day a slave asked a single question, and how that question silenced an entire plantation forever.